This is a regular meeting of the Pollyant Trailway Management Council. Today we're meeting in the Village of Oxford. Thank you for hosting.
You're welcome.
Welcome everybody. I guess Thanksgiving is coming up and this will be our last meeting of this year by. First meeting next year will be in January the 17th, and there'll also be elections for the council, so start thinking about what you want to do for administration here. Okay, I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Donnie, brief invocation. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, thank you for this rainy, beautiful fall day. Thank you so much for keeping Linda safe.
Amen.
So you truly are a blessing to our trail. So please let us be thankful as leaders. And sorry, I got thrown off. Please be with us, our leaders throughout our country, our state, our townships, and here with us today. Please watch over our families and our communities. Please help us remember how truly thankful that we are to live in this country and to that we are so blessed every day. And this we pray in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Eric, there's an empty chair over there.
How you doing?
Here's always
Thanks for
Yeah.
Okay, council, if you received your packet, you have I guess we'll have a roll call first. Brenda, for attendance of the council?
Okay. Elgin Nichols.
Here.
Mike McDonald.
Here.
Kevin Green.
Here.
Sue Basardi.
Here.
Donnie Steele.
Here.
Curtis Wright.
Here.
Wendy Moran. David Bailey. And Eric. Last but not least.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a comment. There's no need for both Sue and me to vote because we're both from Village of Oxford.
I'll put you
So
as an attendee.
if she is voting, I will not.
Very good. I will put you as an attendee.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, council has before it a proposed agenda. Are there any additions, subtractions? If none, a motion to...
I do.
Done?
I do. I wanted to add discussion about the electric bikes.
Oh, okay. Under new business?
Yes, I actually had, and then regarding the Tanview property update.
Oh, okay. Under old business?
Yeah, I guess that would be old business, right? And then I think, yes, okay, and then I just wasn't sure, did we already adopt our budget at our last meeting? We did, okay, that was it.
Okay.
Chairperson McDonald.
Yes.
I would like to ask that we add on the discussion about the Borman case because I did get that information today from the attorney.
Okay.
Okay. Under new
So,
business.
under new business, still be... Woodward Road. Okay.
Do we have an event request?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
You did.
Okay. Is there a motion then to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
I'll approve
All in favor of the motion to approve the amended agenda, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say no. Okay. Council received the minutes for the regular meeting we held October 18th. You also received the treasurer's report that includes the bills and the financials that went along with it. And I apologize, I did not include the trail manager's report in the packet, but you did find a copy at your seat when you came in today. So with that, what's the pleasure of the council? Donnie?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of the trail manager's report and pay the bills in the amount of $4,843.64.
Or,
Was that Elgin?
yes.
Thank you. Okay, are there any discussion on the reports? Anything? If not, we'll have a roll call vote for the motion to approve the consent agenda at the stipulated amounts.
Elgin?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Donna?
Yeah.
Chris?
Yes?
And Eric?
Yes. Okay, moving on to public comment. Seeing and hearing, well, David? Nothing? Okay. All righty. We'll move on then to the citizen representative report. Kevin?
Just
anything new?
one quick comment. I met a couple who moved here from North Dakota, and they were very pleased with the trail. The Pollyant Trail, they use it. The guy's a biker, I guess, and they use it, and they like the Pink Creek, and I told them about the Clarkston kind of connection. So they were real pumped up and really had good things to say about it.
Great. Thank you for that. All right, trail managers report. Got a lot to cover, Linda, today?
No, I can. David and I did put in a new culvert on Lakeville Road. It took a little over 1 ton of crushed limestone millings to place over the top of the culvert. It's actually a 3-inch PVC pipe. We don't really need it. We didn't need a large culvert in that area, so it should take care of that. I'm having a hard time finding the limestone, but I'm working on it. So Logan, our Eagle Scout's supposed to be working on the Powell Street project. I'm working on that. Ray's been delaying the cement pour at Clarkson and Powell Street. We're working on that. Sue Beller's table has been ordered. It should be here shortly. Steve Leach has offered to install the new fountain at Clarkson Road for us. The fountain's been ordered. It's being delivered to Steve. Probably sometime this week, he may actually have it. I haven't actually gotten him, but I've been having problems with my phone. He needed the fountain to be fitted before he could actually have it installed. So that is going to be, he's going to be getting the parts that he needs to actually fit it to the mount. So he probably will be doing that in the spring if the weather doesn't go in our favor. So that may be continued until springtime. We went to the Iron Bell Trail Boardwalk dedication in Orion Township. It was really nice. That boardwalk is something to see. It's just gorgeous, just gorgeous. Wayne worked at the Clarkson parking lot on the Sunday before the dedication. We did a nice job out there. We did fence in the apple trees because the deer were deciding that they were snack treats and just destroying them. I did clearing out a blind spot out on the Clarkson Road. It technically wasn't ours, but on the side of caution, I didn't want anybody getting hit pulling in and out of Rhodes Road. I did talk to ITC, and they did send a crew out there, and they did brush hog the whole area. I think Jeff also, Stout in Orion Township, also called and complained about the area because it was their section to clear. They cleaned it out. They didn't do such a neat job, but you know, they did it. Keith Lynchfield, trim from Indianwood to Borman Road. I got to tell you, the second time around was absolutely fabulous. From like Drainer here, or from actually from Drainer to Boardman, it's fabulous. That second cut last year was a nightmare. It's really good. It turned it back. It corrected some of the leftovers from last year. I think it's a great idea. We do it at least once a year going forward. It really helped the trail. From Drainer to Indianwood had never been trimmed by anyone, or in Township this year, or by us last year. There's a few chunky bits over there. You know, Wham was out there last weekend. We worked on it. It's going to take a little more work, but you know, it's not nearly as bad as the other section because I had concentrated on it heavily this year because it had never been trimmed back. So I've been working on that one before Keith got there. So there's some chunky bits, but it really looks good, and I think we should continue with that the entire trail next year and do that modified cut. Let's see, new business. I was not able to attend the check presentation in Lorraine Township for Birmingham Gifts. I was in Massachusetts, but Donnie stood in for me and did a spectacular job. And we did get the check, we did get a check for $1,500. It's in the bank account, everything's going there. I did attend the SimCog meeting in Orange Township, and the discussion was what to do now that Brownton Township has decided not to be part of the Iron Belt Trail. Several ideas were presented. Independence Township would love to be part of the trail. We're looking at that option. I have signed up and have been appointed to SimCog as a trail representative. Oops, that's thank you, SimCog. So I will be representing us and the trail for Parks and Rec system on SimCog. We will be having, yeah, I don't know. I applied and they said sure. So I guess, I guess they called somebody that vouched for me. They anticipate it'll be 8 to 12 months to complete the work, and there'll be 4 to 5 meetings in Detroit, basically deciding what to do next and how things should progress with the trail. So I'm kind of excited about that. Last weekend, or the last weekend for Moyen was a good one. We installed a new DNR sign at Indianwood. The only one was worn out and had been hit by a car, I think. The post was out on the ground. We moved an old trash can from Pleasant Street down to Indianwood, so it's not our new trash can, but there is a trash can there. There was a washout just north of the wooden bridge on Indianwood. We did build a retaining wall, and I put probably another ton of material, crushed limestone and millings out there. Looks really good. Lakeville was repaired, and Donnie did inform me that there would be an installation fee for the fountain over on Clarkson Road. First they said it would not be, and then they did come back and say it would be. And it's going to be like under $100.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah,
We want to make sure that every community has that opportunity to apply its regulations and rules, and
Yeah,
that's to be expected.
and that's, considering how much we're getting of this thing for free,
Mhm.
$100 is, nothing. I made arrangements to have the pit toilet in Leonard pumped out. He's going to shut it, the Don is going to shut it down for the year. It has not been done. Don is out hunting. I'd like to see about possibly leaving it open longer or all year. That's up to Don, and that's up to the village of Leonard. That is something they're going to have to,
Well, we won't have water though,
Right.
to clean it out.
Clean it out.
That's the real problem.
Right.
People make a mess, and
we're stuck with it.
it's
Yeah.
very difficult to
So,
clean without. You have to haul the water there, and
Yeah.
if you don't have enough, it usually takes a little bit.
yeah,
So I don't think that'll fly.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming as soon as Don gets back from his hunting, his hunting excursion, that'll be closed down. Last time we met, I did get approval on the Orion Township signs for the library. We chose a sign, I went back and forth with the Orion Township Library, Public Library. They like the designs. I would like to get those things ordered. I would like to get them installed. All 3 signs, there's one in the parking lot indicating they donated that area for the Pollyant Trail, a little tiny sign that says trail and an arrow, and then a map or a sign on trail side that says that way to the parking lot in the library. It's $308.80 out the door. Get them made, get them out there. So I need $308.80.
Do you have it?
Do I have it?
Is it in the, is it in?
I'm thinking
Are you
that,
talking about this year's budget or next year's budget?
I'm thinking next year's budget because I'm pretty much drained this year's budget.
Yeah.
So if I can order them January 1 if you want.
Well, yeah.
I can order them now.
Well, that's what I'm looking
Yeah,
at.
I can order them now and
I'm looking at our numbers
yeah,
right now.
and then we can just
That's why.
cook the books and get her paid the first of the year.
Did you say cook the books?
Yeah, cook the books and pay her next year.
that.
No, but yeah, I'm
I
thinking.
like her a lot, by the way.
Yeah. Well, float that for 90-day pay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not pressing.
It's not pressing. Orion Township Public Library would like to have it.
It is
It's a nice courtesy for us to give to them.
And it's how much?
It's $308.80. But if we don't order that and we don't get them installed till going into the next budget year, I'll just let the library know. It's not,
Well, are they gonna have to put posts in, or you, everything?
Oh, no, I'm reusing the poster there.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, if we wait till the hard freeze,
Yeah.
Right.
then we won't be able to do that, so.
Yeah, no, I'm
so-
using the existing posts.
Well, I'm looking at, you know, hopefully, we're gonna amend our budget, but I think maintenance of grounds, I think there's enough cushion in there that you could probably go ahead and order them, and we can pay them under, if they need the money right away or whatever, we can do that out of our current budget, assuming we amend it
Right.
tonight.
So I just feel bad, I'm always asking for money. Of course, I'm always doing stuff.
I was looking at maintenance of grounds for that, so we'll see.
Now, I also, there's still about $400 and some out of the $1,400 I was allotted for the repair at Curtis Road and Lakeville Road. I will need to use that remaining amount, I think it's like $430 some left to have for surfacing material once I find it. But it may require me going to Detroit to get it, because I can't order such a small amount.
Mhm.
So I may have to actually haul it back myself in the amounts I need. 'Cause I mean, $400 and some sounds like a lot of money for rocks, but you're talking probably 10 yards, maybe, if I can find it reasonable, not
You're not
to.
gonna haul that in your truck,
Well, I'll figure out something.
because that's a lot of trips.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
a lot of trips.
You would spend more on gas
Yeah.
than you might as well spend it on
Yeah, and
a
it's,
trucking
yeah,
company.
and it's,
To deliver it.
yeah, it's a downriver mill is where this stuff comes from, and it's MDOT. So I'm trying to get a hold of MDOT to see if they have a local distributor that possibly we could work with.
Yeah, or if they'd ship it to Pontiac
Yeah.
and right straight south of Orion there,
Yeah.
the big yard there.
Yeah, so I'm working on that, but that's still kind of floating around. So if I can have the money, I'll order the signs. If I have to wait, I'll wait.
Well, I think we can make it work. Just
Okay,
Let's do it and
okay.
get it behind us.
All right.
I mean, that's
Oh, yeah.
my opinion.
I would say so too.
Yeah.
It just makes
Is
sense.
that a motion? Can we make a motion?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate, Donnie.
Okay. So,
You want to do the motion?
I motion that we spend $308.80 for the cost of the signs for the Oregon Township Public Library to be ordered for 2017 from account number. What number did you guys come up with?
I think the equipment,
And put other maintenance of grounds.
yeah.
298-853,
Maintenance of.
932-000.
Did you get that? Yeah. Okay.
I'll
I'll
support.
support.
Ladies first.
There you go.
All right.
There's motion and a support. Roll call, please, for,
All right. We have Elgin,
Yes.
Mike,
yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Donnie,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
and Eric.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Got more, Linda?
Real quick.
Okay.
I swear it's going to be fast. Leonard Logging's done, they've repaired the trail, it looks really good. They've requested the money back. It's my understanding Joe has sent them a check. I have a young lady who has some community service to do for an infraction, and she would like to rehab our old wooden picnic tables. I've talked to Don and I've talked to police chief here. We can bring in one picnic table at a time into the barn, the police barn back there, strip it, finish it, haul it out. He doesn't want all three in there all at one time, and I told him it would probably take some time. It's not a 3 hours, we're gone. It's gonna be like, a week to 10 days for each picnic table. Everybody's fine with that.
What are you
So-
gonna, I'm sorry, what are you gonna use for materials?
We actually, all we're gonna do is scrape the picnic tables that are existing, they're wooden, and then we're going to reuse, it's a wood, it's not really an epoxy, but they use it to reduce splintering on decking. It's a type of decking paint. It's very thick. It uses a special roller, and you roll it over the wood, and it fills any gaps or splinters or anything like that. It's not really,
Filler too.
it's a filler, yeah.
Do you have money in the account for that?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. I've got
All
the
right.
paint, I've already got the paint, kind of snuck that in sometime back.
What was that?
I didn't hear that.
Hey, somebody gave me an allowance, that's what I'm gonna say, somebody gave me an allowance.
And then she cooked it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff.
She mumbles.
Yeah, I'm a we've had a problem with dumping in Indianwood parking lot. I think I'm gonna be moving some cameras around, see if we can catch. I actually caught somebody trying to dump. I was standing in the parking lot and he was driving in attempting to dump, and I said, "You, sir, are gonna have to move down the road."
There's signs.
You get a license plate or?
No, because he wasn't actually dumping. My assumption was he was looking for a place to dump, and I had a shovel in my hand that time.
Should we put up a sign, watch out for
Inside
vicious
joke.
woman on the go?
There's a pit bull out there.
Okay.
Going into next year, I gotta get clicking on this 5-year plan. I talked to Kristen Wolfgang, she's not able to help in the same capacity she had in years before, so I'm going to get as much information as I can from her. We gotta get this going by March, the end of March, to be eligible for grants from the state. Maps, we need paper maps. I've been kind of holding out to get the updated maps, but now we don't know where the Iron Belt's gonna go. We're gonna have to figure out something. We're gonna have to reprint the maps that are existing, omitting the Iron Bell link, and which direction it goes off of Clarkson Road, because nobody knows where it's gonna head right now. I'd like to going into next year, I would like to get mile markers. I would like to see about getting mile markers redone every half mile. I'd also like to get the large 4x4 trail maps done. But
Muskegon, Amber,
okay. But I would also like to get the new links before we start doing that, so that may be something that's on hold.
Well, some of that is gonna be beyond our control. I
Right.
mean, once they know what's happening, then we can do it.
And I'd like to see about possibly having it set up in such a way that we could actually have them adjusted once we know the existing maps. I mean, if we get new maps made, maybe our manufacturer can make it so they can be adjusted, somehow. Road map names, I'd really like to see road names on all the road crossings. It's kind of a nice thing. I think Boardman's the only one that has a name on it. More cameras for next year. Picnic table shelters, I have a total of 3 picnic table pads and shelters and picnic tables at Clarkson Road. I'd like to see about getting a name for the Powell Street Park sitting vestibule area. And then going into 2018, the pit toilet in Leonard is going to need some repairs. The roofing is starting to have some rot on it. It needs some staining, it needs some siding repair. So that's something we're going to have to be looking at. I am also looking at several grants. I'm applying for, working with SimCog, I'm going to be taking their boot camp for grants. We'll keep a TAP grant possibly for some of this stuff. I'm looking at that, TAP grants are coming in soon. So that's it. So that's it.
Okay. On behalf of the council, I want to thank Donnie for representing us on short notice for the first of Ann Arbor. So thank you for managing that. It's very helpful.
3 of them came in, and then I rounded up as many people as I could in the township, so we had like a good showing for a good picture. And then I walked them down to the Polly Ann Trail, because you can literally go behind her. And she slid down the hill, and that little trail we hit,
I made down you a special little access point.
And then they took a couple pictures going both ways in the trail, and it was perfect fall weather, holding the check down the trail. So I don't know where they put it, but
They'll remember us, won't they?
yeah, she will. She will.
I always tell everybody to wear sensible shoes when they come out to visit.
Yeah.
Because you just never know what kind of crazy.
Okay. Moving on to new business. In the packet, 2/3 of the way back, there's some budget adjustment recommendations that I worked on with Linda and Bill Ferrari. And I'd like the council's what we basically did was we emptied the contingency fund and distributed it into the categories that needed more money. As a point of interest, we didn't have to do that because we adopted budget by fund and not by functional category. But because Oxford's bookkeeping system, they do it by line item basically, they preferred it, and since that we do the amendments. So I don't think it's a problem. And the overalls don't change. So if the council's in agreement, then we can move forward on adopting the amendments. Yes?
Several questions. Do we want to pull money out of fund balance? $4,000. We have almost $15,000 of expense to spend this year.
This current year? You mean rather than the way it was done? Or suggested?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at balance sheet budget, you're pulling $4,000 out of your fund balance.
Is that what Joe? I didn't,
The balance is $72,050. You're pulling $4,000 out of your fund balance to do so.
When you say contingency fund, is
Well-
that what you mean?
yeah, that was basically the,
The contingency just was reallocated, you're still going to balance the $72,050. You're just zeroing
Okay.
contingency and throwing it into six different
Well,
line items.
I think that would make sense. I mean, the funding is, the money is there. It's just, as you say, it would lower our fund balance going into next year.
All right, next question is the performance bond. Can we just refund that?
Yes, that was money in, money back out.
So should that be zero?
It will be zeroed. It probably hadn't been done at the time this was done.
Okay. So if you,
And I don't know that the check's been sent yet. Was it?
It should be returned, he usually writes them on the 15th, so those checks will be going out today.
so that means that money just flowed in the fund balance at the end of the year, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's good.
So we're looking at transferring $4,000 into 6 different line
Well,
items.
yes,
End up being two.
Yeah, if you look at the bolded numbers on the expense side for telephone, et cetera, that's where that 3,073 is reallocated to. Let's see, what else? Oh, on our expense for contracted services, that's only paid through September. So if Linda works 80 hours going forward, then we're gonna be over budget there. We have $4,279.30 left over, and that only budgets us for 214 hours roughly.
Hi, Linda. Well,
Well, she's allowed to bank hours, right?
I like
Yeah,
that.
She can bank hours.
Yes.
I can bank hours.
So if she banks hours, but it's still gonna have to flow into the 2018 budget
right.
for that consideration.
Anything else, Curtis?
No, seeing you're gonna let the fund balance the budget,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's an issue for the rest of the items going forward.
So we can make that part of the motion, that any differences at the end of the budget year can be balanced by, out of the fund balance.
I would say, well,
For the amendment. Okay, anybody else? Comments, questions? Donnie? Anything? Okay. All right, well then, is there a motion to amend the current year budget for the Pollyant Trail, which is 2017, by reallocating contingency funds and using the general fund budget, general fund balance, or not, no, the, what was it?
just the fund balance.
Yeah, the fund balance to adjust any further allocations as they may arise for them at the end of the year. So is there a motion to that effect?
I'll move to approve the 2017 Pollyant Trail amended budget with revenues and expenses balancing at $72,050.
Support.
Okay, any questions on the motion? If none, we'll have a roll call vote, please, Linda.
I have a question. So are you saying to use the fund balance, or you didn't in your?
We're using
Yes.
fund balance right now,
Okay.
as of right now, Donnie. And what'll happen is, when it gets down to the final audit, then that'll be determined whether the fund balance is needed or not.
I see, based on ups and downs, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've still got a month and a half to go, basically.
Right,
If something, the bill or something comes in, and I probably shouldn't say that in front of Linda, but it'll be covered. Okay, so we'll have a roll call then?
It's a weird credit card.
Oh, boy.
Elgin,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Sue?
Yep.
Donnie?
Yes.
Curtis?
Yes,
And Mr. Harris?
Yes. Okay. Council should have received the proposed meeting dates and locations for 2018. No, I've got it here somewhere. They're basically the same rotation for the locations with the third Wednesday dates substituted. So that would be January 17th at Oxford Township, March 14th at Orion Township offices, April 18th at the Oxford Village offices, May 16th, Roland Hall and Leonard, June 20th, Oxford Township Boardroom, August 15th, Orion Township offices, September 19th, Oxford Village offices, October 17th, Addison Township, November 21st, Oxford Village again. And as you may recall, I mean, the locations kind of evolved because most people don't want to drive further out. We could certainly accommodate more meetings in Leonard or Addison if the council wanted to do that, but we're good with the current rotation if everybody else is.
what's the procedure for a special meeting?
I would assume it's the same as we have bylaws. So I believe the chairman or some of the trustees can ask, or council members could ask for a special meeting, but I don't know it verbatim, Curtis.
You mean how to call one or
Well, just
where to have the?
because of the gas, no December and no February meetings. And if you needed a special meeting,
Yeah, I don't think that hasn't been considered, but we would probably have to find
Go to the bylaws and then-
find a suitable location. I don't know that it's even addressed, Curtis, in the bylaws, to be honest.
We had one back in last year.
Yeah, and we discussed, I think, at the meeting where we would do it.
I would think wherever you could find an empty room.
That's generally inconvenient for
Right.
everybody, so.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, we got several meetings.
Yeah, it's the same way in the village. The Roland Hall would always be available. But,
If no one
council shall
objects,
meet at least quarterly and establish a regular meeting schedule. Special meetings of the council may be called by the chairperson or in the absence of the chairperson by the vice chairperson. That's all it says about meetings. And that's in the actual, the original interlocal agreement. Our bylaws don't even, they refer to that, but they don't go into detail, so.
if there are no objections, I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting schedule for 2018 for Pollyann Trail as presented.
I support.
Okay. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the adoption of the 2018 meeting schedule as distributed, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, very good. Item C, under new business, there is a trail event request, Linda?
Yes, it is for the Charter Township of Orion. It's for Orion Center Trailhead to Greenshield Road. It's the Snow Dash 5K. So it's road pack racing. We're going to have about 150 people. We have no conflict, so let them go.
Let us know.
Let us know. You know, I've done many things called the Iceman, and sometimes there's no snow, sometimes it's 70 degrees, but
Okay,
but that's December 17th.
is there a motion to authorize trail manager to make the necessary arrangements?
I'll make it.
Support.
All in favor of the motion for the Orion Community Programs Winter Run or Snow Dash on December 17th, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. D, electric bikes. I think this is you, Linda?
No, this is
Or
John.
I don't, I read that and I'm like,
Well, I'm not sure, you sent me a note.
Yeah.
You said maybe we should opt out, but I don't
Yeah.
know that that's a, I
You
don't
can-
know that, is that in the
You can
language?
opt out. It starts in January of 2018, and we can opt out of that, but it has to be noted. You know, I thought about it. They have to maintain the same speed limits, it's 15 on the trail. They have to maintain the same types of bicycle laws. I mean, they have to adhere to all of these things. These bikes are really expensive. I don't know how many of them we're really going to see.
Yeah, my concern on it was just that it's basically the state saying it's okay to use them, and we have some bicyclists without them that break the speed limit. I think there's, the plus side is that it will let people that normally couldn't bicycle the distances involved be able to do it, which would be a plus. But the downside is the natural interaction between walkers, walkers, equestrians, and bicycles. So,
And they have to be clearly labeled. The frame of the bike actually has to be labeled that they're electric bikes. You know, I say no, but
would we be able to opt out at any time, or do
I'm
we
going to have to check on that.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of a fresh thing, so they
Right.
don't actually have a lot of information on it. But I will talk to Nikki about it
Okay,
and see if
Curtis?
it's something we can opt out at any
Do you have a
time.
thought?
Yeah, in your packet there's a bunch of questions and answers on it. Question number 11 indicates how you can opt out. You have to have a public hearing.
Okay.
And in order for us to do that, we should hold our public hearing the first meeting in January, because this doesn't go into effect until when, January 28th? 28th. We meet what, on the 17th of January? So if we advertise the public hearing, then we can get the input. We would comply with all the whatever the statute says, it's been approved here.
What about other trails?
Well,
What
this
do
is
they
all
do?
new.
It's brand new, it just came out like this week.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that a lot of bikes, or a lot of bicycling trails are going to opt out.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, you know, we need to go with what the consensus is too.
Because I don't think we're going to see that many, but I could be completely wrong. Now that we're in part of the Iron Belt, you're going to see a lot more people on electric bikes trying to do the whole distance, you know. And then maybe this guy, well, this is an electric bike, and maybe he's modified it, or maybe it's something
Right,
different.
right.
And
Isn't it no motorized vehicle?
Well,
Yeah.
that's what the
That's-
DNR changed.
Yeah.
They're
So electric motor is not motorized?
not under the current proposal, or the change is they're declassifying it. Honestly, I apologize. I read through the material that was sent out, and I included part of it here, but I didn't memorize it. I've had distractions, doing a road job in the village, and I'm just like,
My recommendation would be, there's a lot of doubt here,
Yeah.
like you're saying. We need to, I think we should have a public hearing, opt out.
okay, well, Linda, what we'll need to do then is to have you look and determine if we need to publish a
Okay.
notice or anything like that they would require us to do in a timely manner before the hearing.
Has
Yes, Sue?
has anybody seen those new bikes that have come out? If they weren't so expensive, I'd probably really think about getting one. It's a walking bike. Looks just like a bicycle, but you stand up and you walk
Oh, yeah.
on it.
I've seen those, yeah.
And they,
Really?
yeah,
It's like a treadmill? that propels it?
Yeah,
Is that what
but
I'm-
it looks just like a bike. And you
I've
ride
never,
it,
I've never
ride
seen it. I've
Yeah.
never seen one, yeah.
They've been advertising it on TV and on Facebook is where I first saw it. But they, I don't know what the speed is on it, but they really move along. But it's considered a bicycle.
But it's not motorized.
It's not motorized, you're pedaling it, but
Yeah, they have those in Europe for kids for years, yeah. They don't go that fast. I mean, you gotta really, I don't think, I think you have to worry about breaking the speed limit. Anyways, your arm's getting sore.
Yes, go ahead, Ellen, I'm sorry.
I'm still young, I keep it up there.
You can't get it.
Where do electric wheelchairs fall into place on this thing?
Well, those are handicap devices.
Okay, so there's a stipulation.
We would, our current policy would have allowed them on the trail. But if it was, technically, I think any wheeled motorized vehicle currently would have to register with the trail. But I don't see a handicapped person with, in a wheelchair or a scoot, some of those the mobility scooters that are basically a walking speed.
But the bikes would be electric as well as they could be gas and also.
Right. Well, what's interesting is there are different classes of the electric bikes, and some of them are capable of nearly twice our current speed limit, which is 15 miles an hour on the trail.
Mhm.
So there are some serious safety concerns, I think we'll all
Yeah,
have to
very
address.
serious. Very
Yeah,
serious.
I read that, I forget. How did they address the issues with ADA? Because if you have a public hearing, you're bound to get.
It says that they will be compliant.
Yeah, you have to be compliant with ADA.
Right.
But, basically what they're trying, there's 3 different classes of these
Yeah.
electric bikes. And the ones, they're only declassifying class 1, which are, they're the lowest
You have-
motored
and you have to
ones.
pedal, be able to
Right.
pedal and.
But, am I gonna be out there,
Yeah.
checking these bikes to make sure the sticker is correct and
Right.
adhering
That
to
we
the
need
speed
radar
limits and
guns out
stuff?
there.
See, and I,
Exactly, you won't even catch them.
It's just,
that's,
yeah,
yeah, and I think that that's
what's
what
next? yeah.
lends itself
Exactly.
to,
What's
okay,
next?
here's all the rules, now we have to enforce them, which is like, okay, so my sticker wore out, that's why, so you're not a police on it, we don't have a police, then you're gonna say, okay, we're gonna have to stop the bike, so, right now, what I think with the Pollyant Trail, you don't have the traffic and the bike mayhem that you have like on the Paint Creek Trail, because it's got so much more, but the bikes are the biggest mayhem on the whole trail, and so if you give the license to speed, which you would be by allowing these bikes, I think that it's gonna create more havoc as the trail gets busier. But I do have one question, does the DNR have control? The DNR and other authorities will be considering changes and restrictions on usage in various trails. Will they end up ultimately having control on what you can do? Because they actually own the trail. That would be my question to the
I would
DNR.
have to ask Nikki on that. I think it's pretty new as far as, they're just kind of coming along. This got deregulated and now it's up to them, and I think they're kind of scrambling to get.
Well, if the trail belongs to DNR, they can control it then too.
Well, that's what they're saying, but are they gonna be looking at speeds, or my first thought is that they'll only be concerned with whether there's an environmentally damaging effect or a speed problem, like with hilly surfaces and things like that, or asphalt surfaces. I think that's more likely to be what they'll look at.
Or
rather than-
menacing and wildlife.
Yeah.
I think just a thought to consider, that if you do that, go to a public hearing, just be prepared if either bike manufacturers or bike groups, and not just individuals, who will use the ADA as their reason for supporting, and you may have a political issue on your hands, but just be forewarned that that could very well happen.
Curtis?
Who's the authority that has jurisdiction over the Pollyant Trail? Is it us or the state of Michigan?
That's a good question.
Well, it's technically, we're the managers, but they own the property, so they generally act as property owners when we need them to. I'm sure they would listen to us, if we made a decision that
because that's what this question lends to. It says
Right.
before an authority may change
So
its status.
Linda, that's another point you might want to
Yeah,
get
I
with
mean, we
Nikki
have to build a
on.
good case, Curtis, right? That's-
Yeah, you
you know,
build
we
your
have to
case.
have some,
And it would be nice,
some good record here while we're saying
it
this.
may well be that we could do a temporary moratorium or something like that. We have a public hearing and declare a moratorium on adoption of any, of a permitting the bicycles. And hopefully, I really don't want to be the test case personally for, or the trail, for someone to challenge, you know.
I just say we opt out.
Are you looking at the?
Yeah, it says authority includes people that have authority over a jurisdiction. Authority includes state and local government entity having jurisdiction over a trail. This includes DNR, counties, villages, townships, and cities. I mean, we are the authority over the trail, so I would think
We
we
need to
opt.
keep it uniform though.
We just say opt
So-
out, because the minute you say we'll do one, but we won't do two,
Right.
and then you have to have the sticker, and it's like then, you know, Linda's chasing people down to,
Have
you
the
know, for
hearing and
stickers.
opt out.
And I think too, some of this predates, so the electric bicycles that are on the market now do not have these 1, 2, 3 class stickers on them. So now we have electric bikes and we actually don't know what kind of classification they are. So they could be a modified moped, you know, I mean, we don't know. And I can't look at a bike and tell what kind of motor it has.
Okay, let me ask the obvious question. What if somebody goes on the trail with one of these bikes anyways?
It's a police just like anything else.
Well, right now, they're in violation.
Then they're in violation of a
Until-
motorized vehicle and then a local jurisdiction takes over, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
then we have to go back to our trail ordinance, that would be no motorized
Right.
vehicles,
That's what I mean.
including
Right.
electric bicycles,
Okay.
And
and we have opted out.
on that point, the Village of Leonard did adopt the Trailways Code last month. So it mirrors what Orion Township has.
It does, good.
Yeah, so.
Okay, good.
So,
Should be the same.
And I invite all the other communities to consider that as well, because it allows your local police force much more authority. You know, it doesn't get kicked. You can see what's happened with our trespassers and our damage. It's getting kicked all the way up to the state level, and it is taking forever to wind our way through that, so.
As far as regulations, I mean, they can change those as we go along anyway, you know they're going to.
Right.
And they're giving us the option to opt out. I think it makes sense too, with what Donnie was saying.
And let somebody else fight the fight.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so is there a motion then to authorize the trail manager to make the necessary preparations for a public hearing regarding the use of electrically powered bicycles on the Pollyant Trail for the January 2018 meeting?
To opt out.
To opt out?
Yeah,
I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
Okay.
That was, I couldn't say all what he said.
Yeah.
Now,
But she did get close though.
I do have one question.
Too wordy.
Do we need to have this public meeting before our January meeting? Is that what the?
No, you have your public hearing.
We'll have it there.
At the meeting, at the meeting.
And what we need to know, Linda, is if the DNR or the state have any publication requirements and timing requirements. Usually, most communities have to give 10 business days advance notice or
Yeah.
2 weeks before the
15.
local publication.
15
Yeah, ours is
days.
15 days.
So we want to make sure we meet those requirements.
And a question on that, does it have to be advertised by each municipality or Pollyant Trail can make that advertisement?
I'm going to guess the Pollyant Trail Management Council can make it, because we're going to hold a hearing for it. We're not asking the individual councils to do it.
So that'd be in the
Or
paper,
boards.
is that what you're talking about?
Well,
Well, we put it in the Oxford Leader, of course,
Right.
but Orion, you have it in the Orion Review,
Right.
and
well,
I think that would cover it.
that's a good point. Let's get some feedback. If you go back to your community and talk to the supervisors or the planners and say, the trail wants to do this, is there any reason why we wouldn't want, where we would want to exercise our own authority? I would think that we'll do it as a trailway council, but
But I would use, like you said, 10 days and ours is 15. I would use whatever municipality the longest
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
point.
And then hit all the areas that's affected by the trail.
Madison, Orion,
Right.
right down the
All right,
line.
well, I think if we use the leader and the Orion Review, they'll probably put it in the advertiser as well.
Advertiser
They
doesn't
don't
have.
do
Doesn't
that.
have-
It's just the.
I think those two would cover it. I think.
Those two should work.
Okay.
Make sure it gets on OCTV as well.
What is OCTV?
Oxford Community Television. I thought everyone knew that. Oh, I forgot, you're from Leonard.
We're out there. Don't say it. Okay, Linda, do you have any questions for us on this?
Nope.
As far as what we
And we'll see
expect?
what, yeah, and we'll get the public signs and we.
And then also find out what the DNR's position is on whether it could be Trailway Council or local. Okay, are there anything else on that, Donnie or Linda?
Yes.
Just a vote.
Did we
Okay.
vote yet or no?
Not yet. All in favor of the motion to opt out via holding a public hearing in January of 2018, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. Linda, you asked to discuss the Boardman Road prosecution for damage.
We were supposed to have a court date on Friday. That has been adjourned until later. I think it's
December 8th,
December 8th.
I believe.
I just received a letter today, I don't know how far it's gotten down there, addressed to our attorney, Bob Davis, from Kurt Lapham, who is the legal policy specialist and regulatory affairs officer, Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Basically, I am the DNR, I am with the DNR and I work for the Department of Legislative and Legal Affairs Office. I've been following your email exchange with Mr. Roger Storm, who is the DNR land real estate gentleman. He, on the upcoming trail, or in case you're involved in, I understand that there's a long history in this matter, and I do not have all the information. However, given the case you're currently involved in, yeah, let's see, it's basically questioning the state's ownership of the trail. And they're working through the channels. It's now being kicked up to the Attorney General's office for the state of Michigan. Because our trespasser is now stating that he didn't break the law, even though he and his family have been to court, I personally know of twice, and they've both been invalidated. He is now saying that we have no legal jurisdiction over him or the trail because we don't own the property, DNR doesn't own the property, so now he is taking it to the next
Yeah,
level.
this, and our representative communities and the attorney in the case that is prosecuting has shown conclusively that, you know, this issue went all the way to the Supreme Court in Michigan before, and when it was settled in favor of the railroads and the state. And this is just an instance of someone trying to take another bite of the same apple, and the results are going to be the same. I mean, there's nothing new in the law that would change, but maybe the attorney thinks the client has deep pockets or whatever, and as long as he's willing to spend the money. But that's why the state's getting involved, because since they've raised the issue, they're not going to risk having a local court change something that's already been previously established. So-
For the benefit of the people that will be viewing this, want to give us a quick summary as to why this went to court, what the deal is?
Earlier this year, there was a trespassing case involved. There was a bulldozer on the trail, modifying the trail for a landowner. He was ticketed, he was cited, and went in court for vandalism, trespassing on the trail. At that point, he contested our ability to ticket and fine him and charge him because we were not owners of the property.
Who did, the bulldozer person or
The landowner,
The
who
landowner?
had engaged this person on the bulldozer. You know, he had employed this person on the bulldozer. Yeah.
Okay. Can you, like, more start at the beginning? Is this the landowner who's the trail crosses in the middle of his property or the edge of his property?
No.
Or anywhere near his
No,
property?
it's at the back of his property. There's property owners on the west side and property owners on the east side.
Draw a picture.
Oh, okay. So basically, the trail goes this way. He owns property, this is Borman Road. He owns property here, and then another homeowner, landowner owns property here, correct? And this gentleman has property. He purchased a larger piece of equipment, and his road that was existing did not meet the standards needed to maintain, to hold the weight. He didn't want to redo the road, he didn't want to redo the culverts, he didn't want to deal with the DEQ, so he just decided that he would drive the bulldozer down the trail, modify the trail, so he could accommodate his larger combiner, basically, to take the crops off the field, instead of modify his own property and take money out of his pocket to do that. He would just rather use our property instead of taking money out of his own pocket.
Okay.
He did about $3,800 worth of damage that's going to need to be addressed. So we went through Oakland County Sheriff's Department. He was ticketed. The truck was either towed, there was a F-150 also parked on the trail, and it was either towed or just ticketed. So I don't know exactly. The gentleman that was operating the bulldozer, who was the owner of the F-150, was not related to, but was contracted by the landowner to do the work. So he kind of dropped out of the picture. So we're basically going after the homeowner and the landowner that contracted with this person to do the work. He's just kind of fighting it up the food chain. This particular landowner, his father and he both have been to court with the Pollyant Trail before, and they were both
With the state.
with the
actually,
state,
with
they
the
actually
state.
with the state, and they basically were found, that they sided with the trail and the DNR each time. There was some article that was written in 2014 somewhere out west about land acquisition for trails that had nothing to do with how the land was acquired here in the state of Michigan. Out west, a lot of the lands were grabbed and not purchased. This particular property, according to the DNR, was actually purchased by many previous homeowners. The Grand Trunk Railroad purchased, changed hands, changed money, changed deeds with the landowner at that time. They owned the land outright. There was no land grab. When the Grand Trunk Railroad became dysfunctional or defunct, they actually sold the property to Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Deed and money changed hands, so it was actually a purchase situation. It wasn't a land grab where it was reverting back to the previous owners. This was an actual purchase. So this is not even close to anything that's going on, out west.
So there's really no question about who the owners are.
No,
the
not in this
ownership.
particular case.
So he's just not wanting to agree that, you can't use this property willy-nilly, right?
Right, he just keeps fighting it, he just keeps
Fighting it and using it.
and using it, yeah.
Yeah, is he using
Yeah,
it
who's,
currently?
I'm sorry?
Is he using it currently?
The trail?
Yeah.
No. Oh, no.
Not to our knowledge.
No.
We do have surveillance up there in several spots.
We had been, after he was caught, so to speak, I had been working with the Addison Township government supervisor to get the guy permission for one time to go ahead and, he did the damage, there's nothing to be done, to allow him to use the trail to go back onto the field one time and get the crop off, and then that was gonna be it. After he was ticketed, he managed to get his combine across on his own property, so he can't even prove that there is no way for him to get from the front of his property to the back. What it is there's a stream at that point, and so both adjacent property owners have bridges or culverts, and as Linda said, though the farmer didn't want to put in a bigger culvert or wider, but somehow he managed to get the thing over there and not use the trail, because we had trail cameras by that time, so we know he didn't use the trail.
But
And as I said, if the property owner is just trying to go back to the original belief or perception that he really owns the property, and it's much more clear cut than that. Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, appreciate the explanation of that whole story. I remember now, Bruce got involved with that too. Who's paying the legal bill? Are we?
It's being prosecuted by Addison Township.
We are, Addison
Yes.
Township?
Yes.
So, and he's paying, of course, his own attorney fees, and,
Well, yeah.
And we'll.
I think we need to get
We'll
with Davis,
recover.
and make sure we recover
Yeah.
our legal fees.
And who paid for the trail fixing?
it has not been fixed as of yet. That's part of the court case we were hoping to do on Friday, and get restitution from the court case, but now it's been delayed because of conflict between the attorneys' scheduling. And, as I pointed out, we have rules and regulations on the board for our farmers and our landowners to access across the trail when property is landlocked.
There are legitimate.
There are
reasons.
legitimate, and we do work
Yeah.
with them. I
Sure.
mean, we had the loggers, we worked very well with the
There's,
loggers this year.
Driveways in Addison Township,
Yeah.
down there by Curtis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and
So-
Evergreen Road, so.
Yeah.
So there are legitimate, and just, we didn't talk about it, but we went to the DNR, they've done their due diligence, they found the legal crossings, and there are no legal crossings for this property. In fact, because at one time, this property may have been one big farm. I mean, that's probably where the original crossings evolved from, but over time, as they're discontinued, as long as a piece of the DNR's policy is, as long as the property is not landlocked, if it has frontage on a public road,
Right.
then there's no need for
Makes sense.
crossing the trail to get to where. So, and it's a safety thing too. You can't have someone on their own schedule driving up and down
With a
the trail.
combine.
Yeah.
I know. Well, it was a bulldozer with a track. It wasn't even a bulldozer, like on wheels. So it chewed up the trail pretty good. It's settled down a bit.
I've been out, I raked it after everything had calmed down a little bit because it was too chewed up where they had actually driven off the trail and then back up onto the trail. But, yeah, Linda went and got the quotes and we're just waiting to see what happens.
I'm pretty sure this guy wouldn't want to use or allow his driveway to be used for that purpose.
Yeah.
Heavy equipment up and down,
Right.
I mean,
rude.
Well, he's a farmer. I mean, he's got a lot of heavy equipment, so I don't know what.
I don't think we're being unreasonable,
Oh,
especially
no.
since the courts have
No, I don't
already
think so
ruled.
either.
So,
Okay.
And if he was of a good faith or something, and it was a small cross, this is third mile, half a mile down the trail. This is not just a little kind of cut up real quick here. It's-
Where's the suit filed? What court? Oakland County Circuit?
Just, you know, it's
Yeah,
in
in Rochester.
it's in district
52nd.
court.
District court.
Yeah, it's, we're still pursuing it as a trespassing and damage case. The offending party is trying to make other claims to defend his use.
And I've been letting DNR know a lot about, I've been letting them know everything that's been going on. And that's kind of how the, Mr. Storm, who's the land real estate manager from Michigan Department of Natural Resources, he's been monitoring it closely, and he's the one that's now kicking it up to the Attorney General's office.
So when's the next court date?
It's like,
December 8th, as
December
far as we
8th.
know.
yeah, so I'm sure that they'll have representatives there because.
Did you guys go? Did you guys go? Have you gone?
We have to go, we're witnesses.
We were planning on going
Yeah.
this Friday, but they postponed. So,
Okay,
yeah.
interesting, okay.
So I'll keep everybody posted.
Has our insurance council been contacted on this? Our liability insurance?
No,
No.
That's a
I
good
think
point.
either way,
So it maybe kept Mr. Davis's bill right out of the picture. She's paying the premium anyway.
Yeah, except for they probably, what are they, $75,000 deductible, ours is.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't believe we have a deductible because of the size of our entity. At least that's what I'm
I don't know,
thinking.
but you could check into that.
That's a good idea.
That would be a good idea.
And you guys too, being there in the
Yeah.
Addison.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, same thing with us. But that's why I say that should be part of the findings, that we get the money back.
Mhm.
Because that kind of takes the fun out of taking things into court and just, you know, for the fun of it, you know, well, yeah, I'll sue you and I'll take it up to the next level and all that. Well, yeah, you can do that, but you gotta pay our legal fee, you know.
Right.
And that's ridiculous.
Is he somebody that has been farming for years? Because the trail is not new, it's been there for years. So how has he
Yeah.
been,
Yeah, the
5 years
family.
ago, how did he get his combine in and out?
Well, he bought a new bigger combine, and he couldn't use his internal road
Got it.
to get the combine over because where it crosses the water,
How rude.
it's only so wide.
Can you imagine doing that to
So-
your neighbor? I mean, why do they
So
think
that
it's
was
just
why the
because-
change, that's why this happened.
Oh,
Right.
That's a different mentality, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, and I don't begrudge anybody making, you know, commerce and doing business, but that.
Not at somebody else's expense.
That's
No.
over the top.
Okay,
All right.
if there's nothing further on that, we'll keep you posted. Moving on to old business, the Tanview update.
Well, I mean, Linda had inquired with the DNR about, remember the fence that's hanging down? And
It
I had-
moved down. It
yeah,
had
moved down,
around.
and you know, and I was walking, and I knew exactly what house it was, because they have two big humongous dogs that go, you're only 4 feet away from the fence where he's brought the fence down so far. And Linda, I understand she has contacted the DNR, and the DNR said, well, they're not supposed to, but we've got our hands full right now. So
Yeah.
I'm asking if the village, not the village, but the township of Oxford would have your ordinance officers take a look and see if they can ticket the guy, because he's got his fences.
So you need a complaint filed on behalf of the township of the Pollyant Trail to take an investigation and see if there's an issue with encroachment of fencing.
Right, or fencing, yeah, that's not, yeah.
I know back in the day, townships used to have fence viewers when there was a dispute on a property line. And I'm sure there's a modern equivalency, or at least a way to resolve a property line dispute, but I don't know what it is. Because I know
I don't know.
this is not new. You know, people fight over fence locations all the time.
I don't know what, I mean, I'll do that, I'll file a violation report on behalf of the Pollyant Trail, but I don't know how he's gonna discover whether the fence is off or on without a registered legal survey.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess it'll end up being a civil suit of some type.
If it's that important for us to want that fence moved back.
I don't think that it's gonna be so obvious when you pull up, like, you know, MapQuest or what are the, where you have, Oakland County has the
Google
access,
Earth,
yeah, and it's,
Property gateway.
Property gateway.
yeah, and it's got all the lines on there of where the property is, and it's blatantly, he has violated probably by, I'd have to say 20 feet that he's,
oh my gosh.
It's,
Well, he built a berm, that's the interesting part, is there, it was flat land originally, and he built the berm, and then he moved the
That should
fence out.
show the lines.
Because I went
Yeah.
back,
It's a
and
possibility, sure.
back at the time, when this started, I looked at pictures of the property, the aerials from 1940 up through now, and you can definitely see the curvatures and the changes of the growth, you know.
That guy must be related to that
He-
farm around.
you know, had he just even left the fence,
Had
had he just left the fence on the top of the berm, it would
No
be fine,
problem.
nobody would, but when you
Probably
walk
not.
and you have those dogs jumping out at you, and you,
Yeah.
and it's on our
Yeah.
property, it's not, I think it's,
That's
It's-
a safety
Safety
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
as well.
issue.
well, and my concern is if we allow the fence to be there, not do something about it going forward, it sets precedents, one. Two,
Exactly.
if we allow it to exist and we know of its existence on our property and the dogs do bite
Liable.
someone,
Yeah.
is it our insurance that's liable?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Well, Linda, you need to please touch base again with DNR Real Estate and find out definitively, are they going to do something or are they not as well? And then we'll have to maybe put this back on the agenda
it's such a small case,
and
yeah.
follow up on it.
Yeah.
I would hope that like we have ordinance officers. I would call Al down the street, hey, Al, will you go tell this guy to move his fence? And they would ticket him because it's an ordinance that you're not allowed to put your fences on other people's property. So I'm
Yeah,
hoping that Oxford can do the same
Yeah, it's a
thing.
form of trespassing.
Right.
Well, from one standpoint, that if we can, show the property line on there, and he
Yeah,
pays him a visit, says, look, this is the line,
that's
you're
it, yeah.
encroaching, and you're gonna get a ticket unless you do
Right.
something about it.
And we can
That's what we
provide
need
the
to do.
maps, I mean, everything as far as the DNR goes, they just pull it up and send it to us as far as the legal description of that.
But your point, Linda, is right on. If there's an incident, okay, and we knew about it, and allowed it to go on,
Right.
Well, that was one of the reasons why we asked them and just tossed it to the DNR and said, this is not good, do something.
Somebody did send a letter, right? Didn't somebody send a letter? at
Well,
this point?
I've spoken to the gentleman several times. I know the family. I was in their house. We walked his property with his survey. He knows it's on the wrong, it's in the wrong
we
spot.
discussed it in this meeting a couple of times.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if we ever sent a letter formally.
And
Yeah.
he started a letter writing campaign to all the municipalities, about how we were, encroaching on his privacy and, this,
Wow.
that, and the other. So basically, we just said, let DNR,
Right.
he wants to do that, let's let DNR. But DNR, now we get the Attorney General. DNR's got their hands full. This is like, come on, this is a fence in your neighborhood, just deal with it, kind of deal. I mean, they're taking our complaints, they're addressing them,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be a while.
I get that, but I think what Donnie was saying, put some local pressure on
Right.
them too.
Yeah, and if somebody gets injured by those dogs,
Yeah.
I mean, they're not only gonna sue the dog owners, they're gonna go after you as well.
Exactly.
Right, and, it's,
So maybe, can I make a motion? Can I make a motion that we send a formal letter from the Pollyant Trail Commission to have them remove their fence? And then request Oxford Township to do their end as well, too.
Could I add to that with a timeline? Within X number of days, put
In the letter,
in the letter, put it,
give them what?
give them 30 days.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
And in 30 days, you're gonna have a visit.
And I think the only way you can follow up on it to enforce it is to the ordinance part again.
Right.
Yeah, you may want to preface that on the procedures of Oxford Township for ordinance compliance. Because we give a person 10 days, if they don't follow up, they get a second letter,
Okay?
they get another 10 days. And that's at the discretion of the supervisor and the ordinance officer. If that isn't complied with, then it goes to the attorney for compliance.
Yeah, that would,
Okay, so,
I agree.
I'm not-
so the essence of this then is that Pollyant Trail's gonna write a letter as the property managers to the offending parties, allegedly offending parties, asking them to remove their fence from the Pollyant Trail property within 30 days, after which we will be contacting Oxford Township and requesting ordinance enforcement for fencing on property,
Trespassing.
not trespassing or not on property of their own. I'm not sure what the regulation would
Okay,
be.
so 30 days before we start the process
right.
with the ordinance.
Well, you guys can start
Yeah.
right away. Don't have to wait 30
We could.
days. Yeah.
We could.
You know,
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now,
look at it.
you're going into winter, so, that's,
I mean, if you feel the letter's what's needed, then that's what
yeah.
we can proceed
What
with.
kind of fence is it?
Well, that or you can direct me to just act as agent and request that Oxford Township take action. They already know, we've notified them verbally, and they've acknowledged it in their own way.
You mean the owners?
The owners, yeah,
Okay, that's a better idea.
okay.
That we ask, as a Pollyant, my motion is to ask, to write a letter to Oxford Township to enforce this,
Okay, so no
Okay.
letter to the homeowners, letter to Oxford.
yeah, I think, yeah, and then it just,
And then
instead
get the
of,
process going right off the
Right.
bat.
Right.
Because the sooner the better.
right.
But that does if a motion makes it official and authorizes us, an agent, to do that.
And then once a letter's written, it actually prompts,
Yeah.
Right.
you
And we'll
know,
get that to
Do we
Oxford
have
Township.
the actual maps that show what the property line is, or can you bring them up so that
Oh, sure.
they can all be
Sure.
attached to
Yeah.
the letter?
Sure.
Okay, that's my motion.
You'd want to have
I
specifics.
support that.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Specifics in
need
the
to have
letter.
their support.
Right.
You know, put the specifics in the letter of the reasons why you're requesting the ordinance officer look at the alleged violation.
Yeah, this is the gentleman who moved the fence, and it was, I think, 8 to 10 feet onto our property, and he was demanding beyond that fence, another 5 feet of vegetation.
Buffer, he wanted us to leave a
Yeah.
buffer.
Yeah, of 5 feet
For
above
privacy.
and beyond the 8 feet he's already claimed. And it's like, I can't even, doing that, let's say we did do that, that wouldn't even meet the standards for DNR, which I'm desperately trying to, been getting the berms cleared off to meet the standards for DNR.
Okay, so that'll all be in the letter.
That'll be in the
Okay, so we have a motion and a support. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to authorize the council to contact the Oxford Township to ask for enforcement action on an encroachment, property encroachment, please say aye
Aye.
Aye.
In a form of a letter.
in the form of letter.
Now, who seconded that? Donnie made the
And
motion.
Eric.
And Eric, and all in favor,
Aye.
including Donnie.
Sorry. I was a
All right.
little slow.
We're scribbling on here.
And you can, before you send it, if you're gonna draft it, I take it, Linda,
Oh, yeah.
um,
I don't know.
get it around, and I can make sure that, at least Eric and Donnie see it, because they made the motions. and make sure it's
I'll
okay.
make sure everybody gets it.
Okay. All right, moving on, public comment, hearing none. Board member comments, we'll start with, end of the table, Donnie. Anything further?
Boy, that parking lot looks great.
Which one?
At
Which
Rhodes
one?
Road. So I met someone there for a walk yesterday, and it's like all of a sudden, poof, there's a parking lot. So no one ever knew that it was there. And I don't know if anybody knows, but the railroad, where it goes across Silver Bell Road, which is north of the Pollyant Trail, the railroad took the tracks out of the road and paved over the top of them. So I don't know if they're abandoning the trail, but I'm gonna look into it and see what's going on, see if we can extend our trail
Yeah.
further south of,
Yeah, that's down by Giddings, isn't it?
yeah. So, how Wise often goes on to
Right.
Jocelyn, that's the ITC. If we can continue going south would be nice, just even
Yeah.
if it's one more connection.
Definitely. Eldon?
Nothing here. Oh, I'd like to make one comment. It's good to see that our trail manager is in good health.
Amen. Kevin, comment?
I won't be here for the January meeting, just,
Okay. You'll be missed. David, anything? Okay.
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. I already said thanks to Donnie, and thanks Linda for the great job on that bank, getting that $1,500 grant. That was awesome. Curtis?
Yeah, I'd echo that, the $1,500 grant, the effort that was done there, we wanted to try to do more, and it was publicized, I guess, as well as we could get it. That was good, at least we got a piece of the pie there. A couple things, how many more trash cans and picnic tables are needed, Linda?
Well, I have 2 that need to be installed. I was waiting on 1 to be installed. I'd like to have probably another, I have 2 new, I'd like to get about another 4 picnic tables by donation. We'll get those, and then probably another 4 to 5 garbage cans, which I'll do by donation.
Is there any way of having like a map location of these along the trail?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Actually, all of the locations were GPSed in my phone. I was
Uh-huh.
working on a map, and my phone is in data recovery.
So nobody would ask, right?
Yeah, and,
I'm working on it, I've been delayed because my phone has now been spinning.
Okay.
The Curtis Road erosion, how's that holding up?
It actually is, I was out there, we blew the leaves out the other day on Monday. Fabulous. I'm amazed. I'm so delighted. It's really
draining good, no
perfectly.
erosion?
No
Okay,
erosion. It's really working well, looking good. So far, so good. Everything's just swimming along. And the trimming helped. The trimming helped. We've now found about 3 more places that need retaining walls. You know, so we'll be working on retaining walls and doing some backfills. One up by Lake George Road, one up in Leonard, and then one down here in Oxford Township. So we're working on it.
Now, the last page of your report, I did like this because this way here, I'd like to see you put together the estimated cost for this, so we can get these purchased in 2018
Yep.
to work in our budget, because we have over $70,000 in our fund balance, so
No worries.
we can just
I'll get you
sit in there.
some
You know, why not put it to work?
Absolutely.
I'll get you some costs.
The way things shifted this year in our budget, I expect the same next year, quite honestly, so we'll see. Sue? Oh, I'm sorry, Curtis, I thought you were done.
I'd like to see us purchase a one-man auger, power auger as well. The cost is relatively cheap, $200 to $300, for what we're paying to rent one from Home Depot.
Yeah.
It would pay for itself, because if you're looking at putting the mile markers every half a mile,
Who operates that? You do?
I do. Oh, I've got photos. I'm fabulous.
We've seen pictures of her augering.
She's spinning around.
Yeah, I think Kevin has seen me
Well, that was-
hit a rock.
That
Get
was
spin up.
that was gonna be the next
Yeah.
comment, because
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I've done a lot of post holes, and I like sitting on a tractor where you just hit the lever, it goes down and comes back up,
See what
instead
I,
of twirling
Me too.
around.
what we eventually will have a front loader with a backhoe attachment, with an auger attachment, with a 5-point harness on the back,
That's
and a
what
whole
I'm-
mower.
that's-
Eventually, that's what we're gonna have.
Well, let's put that in the budget.
Wait a minute, don't we have a tractor? Wait a minute.
We have a commercial retrofitted lawnmower, but that's it.
And that's not big enough with a 3-point hitch in the back?
No.
This is just like a simplicity
Commercial
lawn, yeah,
Oh,
lawnmower, yeah.
okay.
If we could
She's
buy a
old and
tractor,
sassy.
Well, we'll have to work
I
with
think
the
Leonard
donation.
could probably use the tractor part-time over there, shoveling snow, pushing snow around. Did you
Okay.
buy a tractor yet?
Yeah, Leonard has, yeah,
Oh, you
and
just bought
we,
one?
and
Oh, yeah.
Linda's had use of it.
Oh, I've been using it.
And we are looking into buying a postal digger
Can I get our hands?
for it, so, you know,
For the tractor?
yeah.
How far south?
That's the
down?
problem, is
Is
we
past
can't,
work?
we don't want to drive the whole trail, you know, like that.
Can we get a trailer to tow his tractor?
You know, Oxford Parks and Rec, I've been rating them pretty heavily, you know. Maybe we can work out an hourly deal or something,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe.
So, you know, offset some costs for maybe for Don over there. Can buy some of his
Curtis,
things.
There you go.
The cost on those hand diggers really came down, you know,
Yeah,
really came down.
because I was curious when I saw the rental fee from Home Depot,
Oh, I know.
how much
Yeah.
those things
Horrible.
cost?
It's horrible.
You read a couple of times, you could buy one, yeah.
But you know, Eric is completely correct. I mean, when you're holding that and it spins you around and hit a rock,
I tried a couple of times,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
I know.
I used to use them too.
it wakes you up.
Any update on the Christopher Walker driveway issue?
I've heard nothing. He moved the fence. We sent him a letter. I've heard nothing. Everything's just fine. There's no damage. There's nothing going on out there. So I'm not poking anything until something needs to get poked. So everything seems to be going well, yeah.
And volunteer insurance coverage, is that covered?
Yes. I checked with Keith at our insurance. There's no problem whatsoever. If you are volunteering, the insurance covers you.
So we're covering
Yeah.
that.
Or if the volunteer should inadvertently hurt somebody or something, their insurance will cover that, so.
And a couple of points going forward, Goats on the Trail, is that any time coming back soon, or?
I would like to do it. I still have, we did do a fundraiser late last year. We do have about $1,250 still in the account for that. So that's about a week's worth of goating. I'd like to do that again next year, do some more fundraisers and get more goats on the trail. It was successful as far as they ate the invasive species, but it was more of a success as far as people enjoying them.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a very good publicity for us, a real, that we're trying to do something, we're trying to move forward on our,
I think later in the season would have been better too,
Yeah.
quite honestly.
I'm thinking like when the kids get out of school, have them out in June,
Yeah.
before it gets really oppressively hot, and we were having a lot of kids coming out after school, having snacks and lunch out with the goats. So we had preschoolers and moms out in strollers with their little lunches, sitting on the asphalt, watching the goats, And that was really, it brought a lot of people in to the village of Oxford, just to see the goats. So, I mean, that can't be bad for business.
Mhm.
So anytime, yeah, I think it's,
Well,
adaptive.
it was an unqualified success.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was.
for what it was and what we did, whether it's gonna carry forward,
Yeah.
it needs to be effective too.
Yeah.
You know, we can't just, we're just not doing this,
Yeah.
but I agree.
It was a win.
I have no
Win.
reservations on what we have done.
Yeah, that was a big naysayer.
Yeah.
Did you get any feedback?
Well, the day they were out there, people were taking pictures and texting them to me, so.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I know. Yeah.
We all learn.
And just because it's crazy doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means you gotta tweak it a little bit.
And there's other communities doing it. There was
Many.
something on the news about a month ago.
Yeah.
And they made it sound like, you know, this is a brand new thing.
Right.
You know, and I was, you know, with some of the
Yeah, we
people I
did.
knew, I said,
Yeah.
hey, done that, did that,
Yeah.
you know, we've done all that, you know.
And the good thing is, and the problem we have on the trail, especially in these in the neighborhoods, we have such a mass quantity of brush that has to be hauled away. I have to put it somewhere. My burn piles, unless I'm in Leonard, I don't have any. I have to put it somewhere. These invasives are invasive because anytime you transport them, anytime, they recede, you know, especially
Oh,
in this
yeah.
bitter bit.
Yeah.
With the goats, there's nothing left at the end of the day. There's just a remembrance of what used to be there, and they just are amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's what Donnie said. She
Yeah.
kept saying that they're amazing.
They're amazing. She was my biggest, she's my Yoda.
Yeah.
She's my Yoda. She keeps me going. She keeps me going.
I take it you were totally against it.
Totally, because she was like, one more time I heard about the goats, I thought I was gonna like.
She was
We
gonna-
need,
she's gonna start throwing stuff at me.
we needed garbage cans, so that was my biggest thing. I didn't want to get so sidetracked on goats when we don't have garbage cans or signs or parking lots or asphalt or water or potty.
Now what
Yeah.
happened? Now
We
what
got it
happened?
all.
Now what
It's all
happened?
managed.
We got it all out, we all got it, we
And all
got it
thanks,
all.
all thanks
And
to the
the
goats.
goats.
That's next to the goats, that's right.
Yeah.
They got me inspired.
Curtis, anything?
Just,
Both voted against
just,
it.
Did you, good things, thank you.
we had a request to use the trail for the Tough Mudder this year.
Oh, yeah, right.
So if it comes up again next year, is the council considering allowing that?
What was the first part?
Tough Mudder.
Oh, the Tough Mudder
Oh.
to use
Because
the trail.
right
Well,
now,
it was for profit.
Right, it was
The
a,
decision wasn't so much the use as what they wanted. It was a profit-making venture. And I think, am I wrong?
it was a
No,
pedal
that was-
cap,
that was
it was a
kind of
pedal
right.
cap, which they
Right.
ended up not even showing up. I mean, we
Right.
denied them
Right.
and then they just,
Yeah.
they never even showed up.
It was for profit.
Pedal
That's
cap.
right,
pedal
utilizing
cap.
the trail for a profit, yeah, type of thing, yeah. But it didn't damage the trail, right?
They never
I wouldn't
did,
say-
they never
They
did
never
it.
came-
At this point, I wouldn't say we would close the door absolutely on any proposal, but it would have to be the right proposal, I think, for everybody to agree on.
deal with it on a case by case now.
I would think so. I don't, unless somebody wants to adopt a policy, you know. that-
I wouldn't have an objection if they donated the funds to, some
I was just
That was
charitable
brought up as
organization.
well, yeah.
Right.
Or a portion or a project or.
Good.
Yeah.
You mean
Or-
to the trail?
To the trail, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
But there was no garbage, I mean, they were really good.
Yeah, I
little
think it
business.
was, the one person was spearheading it, but they were pretty much all, it wasn't like a pedicab company, it was a bunch of individual operators that would have come out. So tracking it, knowing what was going on would have been pretty tough for us to follow it, so.
The only problem I had with it was, had nothing to do with the Tough Mudder at all. It was the people, I think, that were leasing or renting parking spots at the school, and they were using golf carts to cross the trail. And I caught them, and Oakland County Sheriff booted them out of there, so. I sound tough, I'm not.
Because you don't do it all the time, you gotta
I'm
keep
sorry.
working the
I'm just
whole.
around.
Madam President, anything?
Well, everybody else has said everything. I just want to congratulate us again on getting the grant. That was good job, good job. And I'm glad that you're okay.
Yeah,
When
absolutely.
I first heard that, I was very concerned.
I was too.
So,
Yeah, that's,
yeah, I can imagine having had the experience.
Yeah, and
And I just-
we've never really, in my time, we've never discussed safety as far as our person, the trail manager or anybody out on the trail. So
Well,
that was
and I-
kind of a wake-up call.
Yeah,
I think it was a lightning strike. I really do, because in the area of the trail I was at, it's heavily traveled. I mean, it's it's the parking lot there on Lake George. There's always people out there. And I was literally on the road, so it was just a lightning strike. I don't think it's gonna happen, again. But I say that, now we've got a gunman on the loose, but, the world has gotten to be just a different kind of place than what we grew up in.
Well, one of the things we talked about was make sure somebody knows where you are.
Oh, yeah, and I have my schedule.
And don't get your phone out in front and try to take pictures of people that are doing bad things.
Get my French out.
Yeah, it's okay. Just
Yeah.
call the police.
Yeah,
And we'll go with that.
yeah.
We have to be smart about it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have to learn from it. So
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
safety measures we can take, and
Yeah.
there's no sense putting yourself in that position again, Linda. If somebody's offending,
Absolutely.
instead of saying anything, you can just call the police. And then it's,
And there, I think part of the reason I said I engaged him at all, because typically I always say, don't engage, just walk away, and I always have. I'm like, yeah, I'll let it slide. You'll see me, I'll walk by and I don't say anything. But there wasn't enough room for this guy to get by my truck on the trail, obviously. It was a tight wiggle, he didn't quite make it. But, and I don't know. Anyway, that's it, that's enough of that garbage. So-
okay. And I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
thank you.
And a Merry Christmas.
That's right.
Right.
And a happy and safe New Year.
Just on our agenda, it shows you, Sue, as an alternate and Dave Bailey as a representative.
Right,
Oh.
we just did that.
We just exchanged
Tuesday
emails, and
night.
I should have informed the
Yeah, I
council.
sent Mike a letter last
So it's
night.
vice
That
versa.
Sue is now our permanent Oxford Village representative, and Mr. Bailey will be our alternate. And by our bylaws, I believe each community is supposed to notify yearly of who the representative is, which hasn't been done. It's not a hard and fast thing. But it does help if you're not going to attend, or you can't attend and you are the rep, let somebody else know that you're not in your community so they can get a substitute.
And I did a kind of a test for today. I talked to my supervisor and said, I really need to attend this meeting. And she said, okay. So on an occasional basis, there's no problem.
Good.
Even though in theory, I have a permanent conflict with work.
Okay. All right, well, if there's no further comment, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make that.
I'll support it.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no.